What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Let me adjust this real quick, but thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscription button and the notification bell because I'm gonna start trying to produce more videos for y'all. I'm getting more equipment, so hopefully with everything going on, I can film more because right now California is on fire, which is like 2 minutes away from my house, but I think I'm safe. But today we're gonna go over, is it worth it drifting this car? Like, parts wise, working on it wise, everything going on in the community. Is it worth drifting still? So let's get into it. All right, first things first, the trans on this car are not very strong. And to begin with, finding a manual trans to begin with is extremely hard to find in a cheap price. This is a factory manual, as you can see, and this car comes with a W55. So this piece of junk out here is a piece of junk that is actually really rare to find on this car. And so people had a lot of luck with the drifting. I didn't. I blew third gear exiting a freeway, so thank God I was exiting a freeway. But for the amount you pay for, you're paying for a good car, a factory 5-speed with the shitty 5-speed. Like, if I'm gonna pay that much for a 5-speed car, wouldn't I at least want the trans to be really good? But no, so that's one of the things that I don't like about this, and it's kind of expensive, and finding a manual trans is really hard. So right now I have a W58 in this car, and I have the old Celica version W58, which is arguably just as strong as the W55, so who knows, it might blow up. And then the next up available is like the Supra W58, which is harder to find, a little more expensive, and then you have the AR5 or R154, which is about like $1,500. And so you don't have much trans options, and they're all really expensive. And compared to like if a 240, when you break a KA trans, you could probably get it for under a K. So that is one thing into consideration when you're looking for an IS300 or planning to drift one, because drifting a car is pretty abusive on the clutch and the trans. So, you know, depends on how aggressive you drive and how much you're willing to spend on a new trans. That's something to think about. Another thing I really don't like is the parts are so damn expensive, right? You don't have any big name companies making parts for the car. Yes, you do have Godspeed. I wouldn't say it's a big name, but it's a popular name. And you have Megan, and Megan are almost double the price of what you would see on other cars, right? So like a tow arm is like $200-300. Camber arms for the rear are like $600. And the only companies that make angle kits are there's like 5 companies that make angle kits, and they're all like not big names, they're all small little companies. You have Excessive, you have Heatmaker, you have Easy Knuckles, KFD. I think that's it. There's probably more out there, but everything's so expensive. A rear camera arm for this car, if you're looking for a quality one, is $600. And there's no in-between price. So like you either pay for an eBay one or like a Godspeed one, which is like $200, and it goes up to like $600. There's not much in between. Like if you look at 240s, you have tons of options in terms of camber arms. You have like PBM, you have Megan, you have, there's a lot. I can't think off the top of my head right now. So in parts for the car, it's just, you either pay a lot of money, which is figs, top of the line is figs, or you pay really cheap, which is like Godspeed. And so you really don't have that option to where you want to, if you want to spend like a medium amount, do a medium budget build, there really isn't that much of an option. So let's talk about like ideal setup for drifting. This car, I want to say, is relatively new to the drift scene. I wouldn't say it's new, people have been drifting it for a long time, but the popularity has blown up on this car to drift. But the thing is, there is no like formula or ideal setup that people do to drift, right? So like think about the 350Z. You have, people know the formula to make a perfect drift car, and it doesn't really take much. You just, people always say to get wise fab and coilovers, all you need to drift. You're ready, set, ready to good to go. 240, same thing. It's a control arm, rear control arms, angle kit, and I mean, they're underpowered, but they say off the bat, really great drift car. This car, you know, there's no formula that people have put out there that people can follow and build a decent drift car. Like for me, when I got into this chassis, I only had this car for about 10 months now, and I talked to like a few people, and no one knew what the best option was. They're just like, oh, this is what I run. This is what I run. I'm like, how do you like it? Oh, it's okay. It's okay. And so I basically have to just go off what I think is best, off of what someone else said, and there's really no like solid facts. I don't think anybody has run all 5 angle kits that they make for this car, right? So I have excessive and it works decently, and I didn't know anybody that ran excessive when I bought it. I just bought it. I'm pretty sure there's people that have ran it, but I didn't really ask much people because there's not a big drift community around the IS300. We have a couple of drift groups, but it's not active at all. And so I run the excessive. The customer support was great, which is why I got it. But people run easy knuckles, people run heat makers, people run KFD, and so I don't know which one's better. I can say I like excessive, it does the job, but overall, I don't know if it's the best, right? So there is no perfect formula for this car. And the way it handles right now, I am still figuring out this car. I need more rear grip. I don't know the best tire setup. I don't know how much camber is best for the front. So it's still a learning process. I haven't had the car for over a year yet, so I'm not complaining about the process. And also, it's the fun part, right? Sometimes you want to get into a chassis, you want to learn a car, you want to get a drift car. You don't want to follow everybody, you kind of just want to build it how you want to. This is a great car to figure it out. This car is so damn reliable. Like, I had 0 issues with the motor whatsoever. Let's knock on some wood right now. So, no issues. I did every maintenance possible you can do to the car. Timing belt, water pump, front seal, rear seal, accessory belt, power steering pump. And I think the only issue I had with this motor since I had it was I've been through 2 power steering pumps, and that is kind of my fault because I didn't go with OEM. I went with O'Reilly's, and it's still giving me issues. So that's something to think about, is to go OEM with your drift car, or at least with IS300. Yeah, overheating, it hasn't really been an issue at the last track I went to, or when I rented the Thunder Hill. My car was overheating, but I actually ran the belt upside down, so I think the belt was slipping for the water pump. And so, but overall, everything's been really good. I try to keep the maintenance up to date. I do my oil changes almost after every event. So my oil never gets past like 2,000 miles. Try to keep this thing running alive as long as possible. It's an expensive car, so I try to keep it running a lot. Also, this car is super easy to work on. This is my first car I actually done proper maintenance to. So it's the first time I did a clutch ever on a car, and I pulled the trans out 3 times, and it was super easy. I wouldn't say the first time was easy. It was a little bit of figuring out like how to access some bolts, but after that, it wasn't so bad. It was actually pretty easy, and like the second time I pulled it out in like 2 hours. So that was the best part. And also timing belt, I've actually never done a timing belt in my life. That always seems so scary because if you mess up timing, then your motor blows because it's the interference motor. But no issues. I did it first try, no problems at all. Timing lined up perfectly, and there was a few guides on the internet that helped me through. But if you guys want to watch my guide, you can watch it up here. It was my first time and it worked out. So go ahead and watch that video. All right, so when you think of drifting, what is the first things people think about? Is, well, the diffs, right? And with this car, you actually have a lot of diff options, which I think are pretty great. From the factory, you have 2 options of auto differentials. I don't know the gearing off the top of my head, but people weld those. And then you have 2 different factory manual LSDs, which are pretty great to drift on. People always ask me, you're drifting on stock LSD? And I'm like, yeah, it works fine for me. And they're not that expensive. I mean, $300 if you're looking for an LSD, and like open diff is probably like around $100. And so you have tons of options, and they're not that hard to find. They're a little bit harder, but it's not like impossible to find. You'll find an LSD if you're looking for one. And you can also use an FRS differential, what I'm using on this car. It's a 4.1, so the gearing is a lot shorter in first, second gear. But I like it a lot, especially if you're on small track. Second gear is great. technical corners, and then you can get up to speed pretty quick. So definitely love my FRS diff. And it wasn't that expensive either. There's tons of FRSs out there, and the FRS platform is pretty old, so you can find a whole bunch in the junkyard. And there's a local junkyard next to me who delivered it to my door same day. I called them at like 9 a.m. and they said if I order it now, I can get it delivered by 3 p.m. Ordered it, got delivered, put it on same day, and ran it. So definitely a lot of LSD options if you don't want to go welded. I want to stay away from welded because I wanted to drive this on the street more. I definitely don't drive it as much as I wanted to, but I definitely love the option that I can drive this car on the street and still feel like a normal car for the most part. So another thing that I really enjoy about this car. All right, say you abuse this car blows up, something happens, rod knock, knock on wood. This car came in almost every Lexus in this generation. All right, so you have the GS300, you have the SC300, you have the IS300. Excuse me. Yeah, this came from what, 1998 all the way till 2007, 8, and these cars were pretty common. So like these are pretty much family cars. The GS is family cars. They're not like super hard to find. I mean, they're not the greatest motor, it's not the fastest car, but it's still like a reliable motor, and it's quick enough. I think someone dynoed it at 170 horsepower, which is not bad, but this car is actually really heavy. So that's one thing I like knowing these motors are cheap and reliable. So if anything does happen, I can go in and find another motor for like 500 bucks. All right, last but not least, this is a good looking car. Like, I love 4-door cars, right? I think 4-door cars look great drifting. They don't look short. I mean, I definitely love coupes too, but there's something about a 4-door car. A 4-door sports car is just something you don't see too often, and it's just a good looking car. And yes, it does have a BN kit or a B style kit from Duraflex, but this is my drift car, and so I'm not trying to spend so much money on it. But I mean, if you want a car that's a little bit different, I know it's really common now, so, but for how common it is you see on the internet, every track day I've been to, I've been maybe one of 3 IS300s out there. Like last Sonoma, I was only IS300 there. So, and also this car is kind of expensive, so if you do mess it up or something, it's kind of an expensive replacement buying another car, find another factory 5-speed. I mean, you could do swap and auto, but it's a lot more work, and if you're willing to put in time for it, then it's not bad. But it's definitely a car that people enjoy seeing on the streets. All right, so the only real bad things about this car is the transmission. So finding a transmission, first off, finding a factory 5-speed car is gonna be hard. And then the transmission itself is not even a good transmission. The W55 is not known to hold power. And so that's one flaw that can make or break a car if you want the IS300. And the other thing is parts. Parts are not like super available. I mean, every part's available for this car. It's just the pricing wise, you're gonna be spending a lot of money to build it properly. If you wanna build a legit build with real parts, whatever you wanna call it, it's gonna add up, right? So, I mean, if you're looking at rear suspension itself, you're looking at, let's say, upper arm, lower arms, it's $1,000, not including coilovers, $1,000 there, over $1,000. And so, an angle kit, you know, you have a couple options for angle kit, but you just never know which one's gonna be the best. And figuring out your drift setup is gonna be the challenging part, but to me, it's the fun part. So yeah, that is the pros and cons of drifting an IS300. So tell me if you guys like the chassis, if you guys think it's ugly, you think it's a bad drift car, it doesn't handle well. To me, I think driving it for a while, I do like it a lot. Handles like a boat, but nothing wrong with that for me. Transitions are slower, so easy to control. But I love drifting the car, and I like how the car looks. So for me, I think this car was definitely worth it, and I look forward to drifting soon. So thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next one.